I'm pissed, I'm frustrated, and I'm insulted.
And incoming lawsuit in 3, 2, 1. So for those who've been in the CC for some time, you may have heard the name SeriousGamer33 thrown around every now and then. For those who don't know, he's been a commentator for nearly 5 years now, and for the record, he's been the butt of many commentaries from people like Doodletones, Boonslayer, and even Rilla's Kohai. Well anyways, he disappeared early in 2017, but returned earlier this year with a video on MegaTronDBZ, more specifically MegaTronDBZ's run on Dragon Ball Super, which by the way I've hit as well, so that's an interesting thing to know. After rewatching this video countless times though, I say there are a few things we are gonna want to dig our teeth into. Without further delay, let's get serious. No, I'm never doing that joke again, I'm sorry guys.
You know, I've basically accepted that nothing I say at the end of my videos is true, because this is not what I said would be next to my last commentary.
Psst, dumbass, turn up the volume. Psst, it's on 90%. Baka. What? You've gotta be kidding me. See for yourself. Anyways, just for clarification, the editor of this video was actually Mav's station, so of course we're directing this one towards him. Mav, why is this the way it is? Looking at your content, I can tell that you know what audio bouncing is, so why not actually use it? It can't be that hard. It's especially bad because the audio for Megatron's video is actually far louder, and it really sucks when you have your volume at 100% in a desperate attempt to listen to the YouTube video, and Megatron comes in and ear rapes you. I'd say, look, I've watched Luna Bitch edit. Editing software like Sony Vegas and VideoPad have amplifying effects that can raise even very small sound effects. It's actually pretty simple even on Vegas. Even if you don't know how to fix the audio for certain people, you can still just go and figure out through online tutorials. Oof, but seriously, actually try next time.
The penis.
Let's just get this over with. Dragon Ball Super, a show that we all had high expectations for, but in the end, it barely met any of those expectations.
That is one frame from one early episode of the series, which had newbies in the animation world working on it.
Alright, so one bad frame won't convince you, huh? Well, how about 2, or 3, or 4, or how about the entire first half of episode 5? Look, while episode 5 it may not be the worst, it was undeniably a pretty piss-poor looking episode in terms of art quality, and in terms of animation was very uninteresting. Serious, if you couldn't tell already, this is just an example of how bad it could get. Also, it's newbie animators' faults. Pre, can you kind of explain why this is wrong? You know, I could have sworn people figured out this is actually wrong a year ago, but oh well. But I want you to be nice while doing it. So, basically in the aftermath of episode 5 of Dragon Ball Super, a producer came out and blamed newbie animators. Looking at the staff list, though, shows otherwise. I was looking at the animators with the most cuts. All of them at least have 10 years of experience on their hands, with Naruto Tate having been a big name in the likes of Dragon Ball and One Piece, for example. Hell, even the least credited have at least a few years on their hands, and even then, don't really have enough cuts to have made a big impact. Not to mention, if you don't believe me, Ken Atsuka, the top credited key animator for episode 5, actually explained that there is a production collapse, or well, they ran out of time, which was due to Super being rushed. Save it, we are Anime AJ. Look, your info was kind of wrong. Hey Pri, I get that you love talking about animation, but was going in depth really that necessary? Blame Anime AJ, I'll put on the link in the description, so down.
What we got instead was the worst entry into the Dragon Ball franchise since Dragon Ball GT.
Right, because it showed that in this video, you only list like 5 examples of why you think it's bad. It's worse than a show that nearly anyone who has watched it could write a whole novel about why it's bad. I mean, here's a fast cat scrawl of problems with GT in no particular order.
Serious, please don't jump the gun. We all know you have fantastic aim. Seriously, me? Just having fun. Anyways, Serious, please. He did not say anything about GT being better than Super. Really, all he said was this was the worst entry since GT, but he didn't say anything about it being worse than GT.
I mean, here's a fast cat scrawl of problems with GT in no particular order.
You know, I never thought I'd see the day where I'd find something wrong with just a scroll of text. Aren't you the commentator? To together. With pleasure.
Black Star Dragon Balls are pointless? Why? They were the main focus of the first 14 episodes, so how come they're pointless? Come on, explain, Serious.
And these other ones, oh gosh. Omega Shenron is bland? Again, how? I assume it's because he's really just another villain who just happens to be evil, but not everyone's gonna know that, so...
And Piccolo getting killed off? That really ruined the series for you? I mean, I find it kind of off-putting that one of the top flaws of the series is that a character you like is killed off. Look, was he killed off in a manner you don't like, or was his arc not resolved? I don't fucking know. All you did was put that they killed him off, and apparently that ruins it.
Super Saiyan 4 having pink fur?
Okay, that just sounds stupid. Not to mention, it's clearly freaking red, Baka.
But yeah, a character having pink fur. Is pink too feminine for you?
Let us introduce you to our pal Goku Black. He seems to disagree.
But seriously? Just because something's a retread of something doesn't make it bad. Well, maybe if it's a one-to-one clone, which retread doesn't mean. However, this is not the case. It only carries over the story structure of that arc, not the quest or even the characters' personalities. Not to mention, just because something is a retread doesn't automatically make it bad. For an example, the outline of Force Awakens can be summed up as basically A New Hope with a few differences here and there. And the reception was great for that movie, especially putting it next to the sequel, which, while yes, also popular, did get major fandom backlash.
And seriously? Because it isn't canon means it's bad. What? What? How does it not being a canonical adventure destroy the series? How does it do it? Is Hyrule Warriors a bad being because it can't fit into the Zelda timeline? I think not.
Hey, you might want to call...
Oh, no, we are not letting this one slide. Serious, get that off this screen. I don't want to see that. That just disgusts us.
Well, it disgusts you, but it just bothers me.
I clearly see things with brighter eyes than you.
No, you're just an asshole.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
The penis!
Overall, the two female Saiyans that were introduced are just outright shitty characters. Caulifla just seems like an arrogant bitch, and Kale is just the female Broly. They are not interesting characters. Not at all. And I think part of the reason that they aren't interesting is that they pretty much have no real character development. The only thing I know in terms of character is that Caulifla is annoying, and if she opens her mouth again, then Megatron is gonna have to choke a bitch.
It makes me feel like you weren't paying attention when Caulifla and the Universe 6 Saiyans were on screen. Because according to the DBZ Wiki, because I don't have time to watch 40 Japanese episodes, or wait till they are dubbed into English, Caulifla has a passion for fighting after she obtains Super Saiyan, and cares for her friends, Kale and Kaba. She clearly has more personality than you mentioned.
Despite this point actually having ground to it, I feel like Mega's problem is more or less that this is the only real character trait he could point out, which was her arrogance compared to her comrades. Yes, she is shown to care for Kale and Kaba at times, but the trait she is shown to have above all else is her arrogance compared to the rest of her friends. Also, she gains a passion for fighting after she gets Super Saiyan. Alright, Serious, what wiki are you on? Because as far as I know, this is a trait she had from the moment we see her in the anime, with one of the first lines implying that she was similar to Goku with the trait of wanting to become stronger. Not to mention, in the long run, this actually doesn't change the fact that, again, arrogance is her main trait.
She even acts like him.
In her Berserker form... Okay, the Berserker form basically turns you into the Hulk, and while some media has made the Hulk sentient, most Hulks share the same anger rage personality that can only really say a few words. And, you know, act like an animal bent on killing anything in its path.
Okay? Now,
Does that seem familiar?
okay, I should have seen that coming.
You never see it.
No! Lunatic already ruined that. Look, I'm curious where you were going with this. Like, it certainly wasn't used in a manner to defend her. It was more of an explanation that really didn't need to be there to begin with.
Does that seem familiar? Guess who else did this kind of shit?
Broly, no, don't waste your time on them.
See what I mean about her being a female Broly?
So, actually, in that situation, Broly chanting Goku's name comes from his childhood, trauma of Goku non-stop crying while they were babies. Kale chants Goku's name only because of the Berserker form, and him being her...
Okay, the context for each character transformation is different, Serious. Now, Serious, tell us, how does this change Megatron's point? Mega is explaining that they have the exact same personality trait of becoming a maniac. which is honestly a horrendous example, but forget him for a moment. Serious. Kale and Broly's backstories and different reasons for transforming into their mentally unstable Goku-limited forms does not change their overall personalities. Also gotta mention how you cut yourself off in the middle of your line, which honestly confuses me. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a joke. In fact, it seemed like it was going to be a very important point to explain why Kale would transform into a berserker form. Now, there was the other possibility that he actually finished his line, but it sounded more like he cut himself off for some reason. And honestly, if that is true, that's very bad line delivery, because in the long run, I honestly don't know what you said here. Seriously, this is also off-putting.
The penis.
In addition, the retcon of the Potara earrings was a horrible idea. But making the fusion only last an hour, it totally discards the original impact of a Potara fusion. Originally, the fusion, well, to me anyway, represented sacrificing your own individuality for a greater good.
Wouldn't that be the same for the fusion dance as well? Why are the Potara so special? Oh, it's because you think they were originally permanent. Newsflash, the characters only thought they were permanent originally.
Earth to Sirius, as you can see, Megatron is taking issue with the fact that the Potars are not forever like they were before, which in turn destroys the impact Goku and Vegeta giving up their individuality in order to save the world had on Mega and many others. So now tell me, Sirius, why would this work the same for the fusion dance? Its time limit has always been 30 minutes, meaning that you wouldn't be basically giving up yourself for a cause, at least for too long, while Potara would be giving up yourself for good. And yes, Mega knows that the Potara is not permanent, so I don't know why we need to be reminded how this change is not an asshole. Otherwise, Sirius, you're jumping the gun. Again.
Oh god, I can see Sirius Station sinking from here.
Just let it join Lunatic and Kill Land. At least TB isn't interracial. Wait, interracial? I'd rather my future self not fuck a furry, thank you very much. Well, I'd rather my self not be a racist, thank you very much.
Also, the only last for an hour thing makes the Potara way more worth it, considering something you don't bring up.
What? What is it? What is it that he doesn't bring up? Will it come back later in the video? Well, I finished watching the video and turns out he doesn't. Great.
Also, the ending to the Future Trunks saga. What the fuck were they thinking? This is one of the biggest middle fingers to the fans that I have ever seen. Erasing the timeline was a horrible decision since now it makes the entire Goku Black arc absolutely pointless. Since all the events that took place have been erased.
Alright, fine. Yes. Erasing the timeline is a complete cop-out on the show's part, and does waste the time spent watching it, though I might have an argument against it. It's not very good, but just hear me out, okay? What if that whole arc was for the purpose of showing us how Grand Zeno deals with problems, and foreshadowing what was to come with the rules of the Universal Tournament? That doesn't excuse the fact that it's still a huge middle finger to the fans. It's just a thought.
I don't know what the fuck this is. It isn't a point against them, nor is it a hypothetical thought, but more of a add-on to the conversation. Well, I guess I'll have to argue them in multiple manners. Oh joy, as an argument against it, making the whole arc less worthless, it doesn't change the fact that Trunks lost his timeline and this basically failed. Now, maybe if the Future Trunks arc kind of transitioned into the Universal Survival arc for, I don't know, whatever reason that kind of dealt with the aftermath, then maybe it would be less. But oof, we didn't do that. The only thing that transitions from that arc to the Universal Survival arc is the thing which you brought up, which is of course Zeno's erasing attack, and that's about it. Look, otherwise, if there is maybe a little more going on, your point would work. But oof, it renders basically the entire previous arc pointless because of its outcome of failure.
Anyways, carry on the final thoughts for me.
Huh? Why not do it with me?
If you already couldn't tell, I'm a lazy person. Go ahead, non-lazy person.
Oh, well, I mean, I did have a few things to say myself, so I can take care of your shit for you. So, Sirius, this is really only like the second time I've actually had the chance to check out your content, with the other one being the Suck Com on Me from 2016, but considering that was almost entirely written by Clown, I wasn't exactly sure what you could do by yourself, and considering this is a Dragon Ball related topic, I was interested in seeing another commentator with Dragon Ball knowledge cover the topic. So, safe to say I'm a little disappointed, and that's all. You actually did make us some good points, but how many times did you end up missing them or come off as just making excuses? If anything, this commentary misses the point far more than often. It's off because this is what's considered one of your more competent commentaries, and honestly, compared to the last one I saw by you, I'll say it's an improvement somewhat, but I bet if you paid a little more attention to your target, you'd do better off than what you've done up to this point. Anyways, that's all I have to say.
Whoa, that was interesting.
Yeah, but now what?
Hey, wanna go to Killian with me? I've heard they have commentary material perfect for us there.
I think if we go there, we'll be the commentary material.
Don't worry, our lawyers will handle it.
We have lawyers?
By lawyers, I mean me. Let's go to Killian, boys!
Sketch is gonna have a word with me after this. Fucking Pre.